So hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how I made this pillow. I started by using a book page and I transferred it onto a piece of fabric using my printer, and I'm going to show you the whole process. It was really a cool idea and I thought I'd share it with you. So the process I'm going to show you today is a way to take vintage paper and photocopy it onto fabric so that you can use the fabric on projects. And so the issue you might have with old things is copyrights, and I've learned a few things about copywriting and I'm not 100%, but this particular book page is from 1879, and so is this one, and they come from my stash or hoard of vintage books. I love vintage books. And then music paper, and I also have a fabulous book, and this is a book that is copyrighted in 1900, 1901, and it has fabulous pictures of Gibson girls. And I just adore them, and I think it's going to be fabulous. I'm going to try to use one of these and then link a photo of it in my description so that you can use it. Like this one is copyrighted 1901 here, and they're just fabulous photos. I will probably use them again, and I mean, just look at the face, just adorable, and just beautiful Gibson girl pictures. Anyway, so let me show you how the process works. So I learned this process from a young woman, and her name is Saacibo, if I'm saying it correctly. It's Saacibo, and what she did is she had 7, or I guess it was 6 different ways that you can take paper and add something to it with fabric on the top, and you could run it through your copier. The method that I'm going to use is I'm going to use one of her methods, and that was using heat and bond, and that is what I've used. The other part of this process is soaking your fabric in alum and then letting it dry, and then once it's dried on its own, then you can iron it and stick it to like the heat and bond or other products that she would use, and then you put it through your printer and then it prints it, and then the alum makes it so that you can wash the piece of fabric and it will not just basically fade off of your fabric, because a regular printer, if you just did that, it would just fade off of it. So anyway, it's a whole long process, but it's totally worth it. The pillow I made turned out really cute. So the picture that I'm going to use today for my project is this one, and I just thought that the face and the little cherub was adorable, and I can't wait to put it onto something. This page was even torn. I had to tape it into place, but still, it's still a great photo, and it will be super fun. So I hope you watch and follow along. So I went to the grocery store and I picked up alum. So just right in my spice aisle, and so this is what I'm going to use in my bath of fabric so that I can make it so that when I print it and it gets washed, it's going to stay on the fabric. The imprint is not going to come off. So we'll see how this trick works. So in order to do this part, I have taken several pieces of fabric. I've got about 2 small pieces. This was a pillowcase, and this was just a piece of fabric had not been washed. So it's just soaking in the water. And what I'm doing is taking this alum, and I'm doing about a tablespoon in here. And just gonna stick that in there. I have only got about an inch of water in here right now. And so I'm just gonna mix this around, and I am going to let it soak in here. And then I will take it and squeeze it out, and then I will let these dry on their own. I will not throw them in the dryer or anything. I want some of that alum left in there, so I'm not going to rinse them or anything, just squeeze them out, and then I will let them dry overnight. So to start out with, I am going to be pressing some fabrics. This fabric is after it's been dried, and so I do like to use some printed fabric and some regular fabric. I just think that each one of them is a different look. So I'm just going to press these together and get this all nice and straight and flat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this to a piece of HeatN Bond. So hopefully that second piece under here is good as well. Then the HeatN Bond is this, the light version. You get quite a bit in here. I think I've done 6 pieces, 8 pieces already, and then I still have little bits left that I can use. So I traced around this with a pencil so that this is the perfect size that will go through my printer. And I'm going to use the white one this time. And I'm going to just iron this on. And then notice the edges here. I'm just going to cut those off and make sure it's all perfectly straight as far as the size of a regular piece of paper, so that when it goes through my printer, notice the paper side up and the shiny side down, so that we're going to get this ironed into place. I just want it really nice and exact for this process, because it's going to be going through my printer and I don't want it to jam. I haven't had any trouble with it jamming. I've done quite a few pieces, and there is that. I'm going to cut this out and I will pause the video and show you what is next. So here is my fabric, and I have it attached to this piece of paper. Now, so this is the photo that I have decided to put in my copier and run the fabric through so that I can print this onto my fabric and use it. I think I'm going to be making a pillow. That's what I believe I'm going to do. So let's get going. So here I am down at my printer, and what I've done is put the paper in the side that I want down, and I have stuck a piece of paper, and I have stuck this in here. This is the paper side up and the fabric side down, and I'm going to just close that up, and I'm going to press my print. Go back here. I'm going to print, but I want this one to be colored because I don't want it to be too white. So I'm going to push OK, and I am going to print. And we will see what it does. So here is what it looks like, and I think it's pretty cute, but I'm going to cut it down and I'll show you what's next. So I wanted to show you what some of these others look like. So this is what I've done with the printer, and I think it's really cute. I want to show you some other ones. So this one I did cut off the bottom of this one, but this is on a rose fabric, so it's got an imprint of a rose. I just think it looks really cool. And then I also made sure it was in color because this was white fabric. I just thought it gave it an interesting look. On printed fabric, I did this piece of music paper. I just thought that was interesting also. Yeah, just kind of cool, kind of something different. I'm not sure what I'll use this for, but I do think it's cool. Here was one I was testing out, and I feel like I cut off too much of her head, but still, I might be able to use it for something. And then this was an architectural piece, another one of my hoard of books that I have. So what she suggested next was to take this and iron it. Just so you'll know, she had several ways to put this through the printer, but I felt like for me this was going to be the easiest way, and I will probably use this to make a pillow or a heart or something so that I can put that on there. But that was the next step. If you notice on mine, there are some marks here. The person who had the book before me would write little things on here, so I'm going to end up cutting this off, and so I won't be able to see all that. But, and then if you notice this little mark there, mine had a tear in this that went kind of right up in here. But I taped it together, and I think it's fine. I think it adds to its rusticness, but I'd rather use my own so that I can give it to you than to use something I purchased and then make you go purchase it yourself. So let's take another look at the next step. So I have cut this down into a rectangle, but I really kind of want an oval, so I'm going to take a little tin that I had here, and I am going to draw around each corner so that it's going to make a nice kind of oval, and then they'll all be the same, and then I'll cut it off, and I'm going to iron it right onto a pillow. Now you could use this for anything you wanted. I could put it onto a bag, and then it could be washed, but I think I'm going to make a small pillow with this. So just going to cut off that, making sure that I'm cutting off the lead. I do not want that lead to get onto anything that I would sew this or iron it onto. So I'm going to do that. Then I will attach it to my pillow base and finish up a pillow. There is that. So here is the backgrounds I've chosen for it. After going through my stash, I found 2 of these, and these are just actually from China. These are still beautiful. I don't use old things every single time, but I mean, look at the crochet on here. It's beautiful. So nice cotton fabric here. So there's going to be 2 of them. This will get sewn around to be the pillow itself, so the pillow will only be this size, but this will be on the edge. And I like to do it that way occasionally when I'm just going to open a hole and stuff the whole thing, and then I'm not turning and stuffing and adding lace to the outside. This is going to make the pillow really easy. And then this layer here, and I kind of hated to cover this up, however it was the perfect color to match my picture. And then I needed something more because I felt like if I just put that there, it wasn't good. So again, alternating these colors, and notice this is very yellowed, and I wash all my linens, but this must have just not come clean. However, when I put this over top of this, it will all work, and then I'll stuff this. But the first step is to take this top row, sew this on, and sew it here across, because I don't want to sew it all the way up into that. I just sewed to right where that edge is, right there. Then I'll sew this on, then I'll iron this, and then sew it into place, and I may trim it out. The last bit I will, once these are all sewn on the front layer, then I will attach it to the back layer, and I'll show you as I go. So I've decided to iron this one first, and just go ahead and press this into place. Remember, when I began this process, this was the Heat and Bond was on this. So I feel like the Heat and Bond is good, and I kind of like how this, like the lace is showing through. I kind of think it gives it something. I will sew around here, and then I'll decide if I want to add something to it. I'm going to sew this, because if I decide to watch this at any time, or anyone else does, then it's not going to come off of here, and it's not going to lift. So this looks good to me. The next thing is to sew this next piece. Like I said, I will sew it so that there is a seam here, up, and then across here, so that leaves this loose and this loose. But I think that's going to look really good. Try to even it up and make sure that the sides are the same distance apart. So I'm going to get the sewing machine pulled forward, and I'll go ahead and sew that. Okay, so here I am at my sewing machine, and I've kind of messed this up a little bit, but I'm going to straighten it back up again and pin this in place and start sewing. Alright, so here this is all sewn on here, and so now the next part is to take this. I'm going to sew around here, and then I will sew this onto this. And there that is. Notice, because this was ironed, I didn't have to sew it, but I wanted to make sure it was super secure. So here we are, putting this on top of here, and trying to make sure that it is evenly spaced between here and here, and here and there. And if it's the way I like it, I'll pin this and get it sewn on. The last part will be attaching the front to the back and then putting some stuffing in it. And because I'm using two doilies that look exactly the same or similar, it will go together really easy. In the past, I have used a bigger doily and a smaller doily, and still it was like double rows of lace, and it looked really cute. So I'm sure that I will be doing some more of these at some point, and because I just think they're beautiful, and I really like to have them on hand. So here we are. Taking that last pin out, and I am making sure that I backstitch. Catch all of that. I will trim all these threads off. And there is that. easy peasy. I didn't have to turn anything. I didn't have to do anything but just keep sticking it on here. And I feel like that it looks pretty good. I do feel like this is a little crooked. So I may take this out, and depending on what it looks like when I stand up, we'll see. So here is the second time. I took the stitching out and I just didn't feel like this line here and this line here that I'd sewn was straight, and that would have bothered me. So I flipped it over, took the stitching out here where it's easier to see. I always stitch crocheted things on a 5 stitch length so that it makes it easier in case I have an issue. I'm going to pause the video and stitch this back on the correct way and show you what's next. Okay, I think it looks better now. So now I'm going to take the back piece. And the other thing is I did iron and starch both of these, and there is a wrong side because there's a tag there to these, so I made sure that they're going to be together. I will stick this together like so, trying to match these corners here, and I will pin them in place, and then I will stitch around here. So we are all pinned in place. I made sure these corners are pinned, and notice that the lace is going a little different and it's not perfectly even, especially on those corners, and I'm kind of glad because I like that to show. So I'm going to get this sewn. I'll stop leaving a hole, and then I'll sew that up after I stuff it. Okay, so I have sewn all the way around and left a space here. I made sure to back stitch right there, and then I am going to stuff this. Now I just have some regular fiber fill. I do like to kind of squish it up a little bit. I don't want it to be little balls in there because sometimes that makes the whole pillow kind of bumpy, and I don't love that. So I start and make sure I'm going all the way to that corner and getting it full, and keep stuffing until I am happy with it. Okay, I have stuffed it. It's not too full, and then I will stitch from here to here, and then I will show you what it looks like at the end. So it's all sewn. I went back to the sewing machine and I just pushed down on this as I was going, and just ran the seam right along here, back stitched on either side, and I'll clip these seams, and then I'll sit it on my little couch and show you what it looks like. So there it is, sitting on my little settee, and I think it turned out so precious. It's not huge, but it's just a great little addition to my space or my home. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll give this one a thumbs up. Thank you.